All right, what's going on, everybody? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. Normally on Mondays, well, in this case Tuesdays because Monday Night Football, I do a 5 things video, 5 things we learned. But with how that game went yesterday, I think it's just more appropriate to kind of lump it all together and kind of go piece by piece, section of the team by section of the team, and just overall look at what went wrong, what is wrong with this team, and what it means going forward for the Miami Dolphins. So I'd like to start off positive on a loss, negative on a win. The positive is, look, we still control our own destiny. We went out, we have the number 1 seed. We have the division, home playoff game, guaranteed into the second round. Look, I can't act like it's all doom and gloom. I can't act like the season is all of a sudden over and that this team is guaranteed to lose. This team is guaranteed to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. We have no guarantees in any sort of positive or negative. We have not clinched a playoff spot. We have not won the division. We're not eliminated. We haven't lost a playoff game yet. There's still a lot of football to be played. So we do still control our own destiny. If we beat the Baltimore Ravens, as well as all those other games, we jump over the Ravens, assuming they win every game except for the game against us. And we have the number 1 seed in the conference. And you look around the conference, and there was a lot to not like from AFC teams on Sunday. You know, the Ravens barely escaped with a win themselves. The Chiefs lost to the Bills. Serious questions around the Chiefs. The Jaguars lost to the Browns. The Browns, Joe Flacco's your quarterback. You just go down the list. There's so many things wrong with every single AFC team, and we are right there in the midst of that. So, first thing that I want to address, and it's something that we've kind of known about this team for a while, is just we can't play physical. And whenever we come against a physical team, this is what happens. You look at the teams we've lost to this year. Look at the Eagles. Look at the Bills. Chiefs aren't as much physical, but this is probably the most physical Chiefs team we've seen in the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid era with what they can do on defense. And then yesterday, Mike Vrabel, defensive guy, big energy, big guy. His team has really revolved around that sort of mentality and that play style since he's been the head coach. Derrick Henry, just monster of a man. I was saying before the game started, like I was excited to see Derrick Henry play because I think I've only got to see him once before. And you don't get to see guys like that big, that strong, that powerful, that fast. And he didn't have a massive game, but his 2 touchdowns, including the one at the end being the eventual game-winning touchdown, meant a lot. I believe that was the game-winning touchdown. Yeah, that was the game-winning touchdown, that last touchdown. They are a very physical team. Will Levis, big man, big arm, powerful, strong. That is what the Tennessee Titans are. And you look adversely to the Dolphins, and it's, you know, a lot of people have called us the speedboat of the NFL, and I have a hard time disagreeing. Mike McDaniel does not have an intimidation factor at all. I'm sure that at the very least is read in the locker room as well. If there's a little bit of a thing, especially amongst alpha men, where you want to fear the person next to you at the very least a little bit, just that little bit respect in the terms of fear. You want the respect mostly to be coming from you respect them and you want to do the best for them, but that little element of fear is pivotal, and it does work. Mike McDaniel, genius, creates this amazing offensive scheme, missing that intimidation factor, and you look through the rest of the team, and you find that with Tua, not the big arm, isn't mobile, he's going to try to run you over. Dear God, I don't know why he doesn't slide. He's 6 foot, 210 pounds, and he's running into 3 defensive linemen on the goal line, basically, when you're not even on the goal line, like 4 yards out, 3 yards out, whatever it was, and he's just barreling down into them. What are you doing? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league. There's no physicality in them. They're going to beat you over the top. They're going to get open. But that play that DeAndre Hopkins had going deep down the right sideline, where, yes, obviously it's pass interference on DeAndre Hopkins, but he has that ability to use his body, even though he's skinny. He has that ability to use his body to get open rather than just relying on his feet and his speed to get open. Jeffrey Simmons, who wasn't playing, just a bowling ball of a man on the defensive line. We have to keep Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins and that interior defensive line is really the only physical thing we had going yesterday. Derrick Henry had nothing. He had 35 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, but you kind of expect that when you get to the goal line, you give it to him 3 times on first and goal, and you'll probably find yourself in the end zone. Christian Wilkins, Zach Zealer, Raekwon Davis. Those are just large men, and they are the only physical identity that we have on this football team. We cannot play physical. We cannot play well against physical teams. We've struggled against every single physical team that we've played against this year. Even the Patriots, we struggled to beat them twice. The Raiders, when we played them, we struggled to beat the Raiders. When we come against physical, things get a little ugly. Let's talk about Tua a little bit. So I've been very up and down with Tua, but you look at his career so far, and I think it's very valid to be where he's had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs that weren't necessarily his fault, but some that were, and some that were just things that he can't overcome that are just simple facts about him, like his size, like his speed, like his strength, that his arm strength that has gotten better, but there's still some things about him that you find yourself wanting more. He can win us a Super Bowl. If everything goes right, this team still, this year, I still believe this team can win a Super Bowl this year with the current team that we have going forward. Injuries suck. You keep finding ways to get injured. I mean, God, we had, 4 dudes go down in the first quarter. Obviously, Tyreek comes back. Jalen Waddle comes back. But Connor Williams not coming back, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about, the offensive line. Actually, I'll just get into the offensive line right now. Actually, no, I was talking about Tua. So let me finish about Tua. Tua is right there in that. I'm not talking about this season. I'm talking about in the overall quarterback landscape. Tua is right there in the QB 8 to the QB 12. He's not a top 5 guy. He's not a top 8 guy. He's not, he's not Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson. You probably find another 1 or 2 guys in there. He's not those guys that have the ability to create, the ability to win when not everything's going their way, when the offensive system isn't going their way, when the first 14 play calls weren't drawn up properly. They find a way to make plays. Some of those guys can very well make plays with their feet and have a lot of success doing so. Some of those guys are physical, and like Josh Allen, they can just make a play on their own if they need to, or they're just that good of a quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. They get things done when things aren't ideal. And then you have the 8 to 12 range, 8 to 13, 14. You have your guys, your Tua, your Dak Prescott, your Jared Goff. There's a few other guys that I'm sure you lump into that group, Brock Purdy, that you give them the system. You build up a car. You got everything going right, 0 miles on it, brand new, and 2024 edition, or it's about to be 20. What even year is it? Jeez, I can't even keep my head on straight right now. 2024 edition. Now you just hand them the keys, and they're going to drive it. They're going to operate it as long as everything in that car does exactly what that car is supposed to do. You don't have transmission blowout. You don't have a bolt in the tire. Everything is going to look good, and that's why Brock Purdy and Tua have been near the top of the MVP voting, is because they have great systems in front of them for them to thrive. But when you see a chink in the armor, which we've seen with the 49ers against the Vikings this year, where the Vikings were physical against them, Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, punched them in the mouth, all-out blitzes, that amoeba defense where you don't know what is going to happen when you have them on the defensive line. They saw the very same fate. The Eagles, when they played the 49ers, or sorry, actually both, but actually the Cowboys. The Cowboys, when they played against the 49ers defense, very physical defense, great defensive line, great linebackers. Secondary is actually where they're kind of weak, but it didn't really matter. They just punched them in the mouth and got the job done. Tua does not have the ability to have four starting offensive linemen in front of him out. He does not have the ability to overcome Tyreek Hill getting hurt, missing almost the entire game, he got hurt, 5 minutes into the game on offense, and then he came back in the second half, I think the second offensive drive in the second half, he came back, missed a lot of the game, probably wasn't even 100% when he did come back, but you saw the impact that he had when he did come back, so it's clear of the two, just based on this single season, Tyreek of the two is the MVP. Tua is out of the MVP race. In my mind, Tua is not even close. He's gone. I mean, you see what Brock Purdy. You just line up Brock Purdy and him. What Brock Purdy's doing is eclipsing what Tua's doing. So Tua, in my mind, is out of the MVP race. If you're going to talk about a Miami Dolphin being MVP, it's Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Hill only. And that's not anything, there's not even a dog on Tua. He's having a great season. I'm happy with what he's doing for us. Tyreek is the true MVP. With that offensive line going down, that completely changes how this offense runs. I mean, you go from, ideally, Teron Armstead, Isaiah Wynn, Connor Williams, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, an offensive line that this year has at times looked top 5, but now you've missed Isaiah Wynn for over a month. Connor Williams goes down mid-game. Robert Hunt has missed multiple games in the last month, and now Teron Armstead misses just yet another game. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Look, when he's on the field, he is genuinely one of the best left tackles in the NFL, but he's not on the field. Availability is the best ability. If you're not on the field, what are you providing to the team? He is on the field. He is one of the most important players on this offense. But then you have Lester Cotton, you have Rob Jones, you have Eichenberg playing center, and it just completely looks different. I mean, and it makes sense. You take away anybody's starting offensive line, and things are going to start to fall off the rails a little bit. But that's what we're dealing with right now. The offensive line is being held together by shoestrings and glue. Austin Jackson was the only starter at the end of the game, the only true starter at the end of the game. And this is what we're dealt with. We just lost to a more physical team, a quarterback who is big, strong, athletic, mobile, was able to get the job done, was able to perform in the clutch. That's another thing. How many times have we seen this team perform in the clutch? I couldn't tell you. This year, we haven't won a game on a game-winning drive. Game against the Chiefs. Had the opportunity to win it. Fell just short. Nearly, I mean, talking about inches, could have been going to overtime against the Patriots if whoever that was, offensive line, Cole Strange, I think it was, if he just falls forward an extra 2 inches, they get a first down, they potentially go and score there. We clutched out on defense against the Raiders, but the offense had multiple opportunities to be able to just run out the clock and weren't able to do so. Missing a clutch gene, missing a physical gene, missing a lot of things that are just things you need in football. You need to be physical. You need to be able to punch the other team in the mouth. You need a little bit of fear when you're going against teams, that they need to be able to fear you physically, not just your speed, because if you don't have speed, physical is always going to be there. You're going to sustain injuries, but you can always push on somebody. You can always tackle somebody. You can always just push them and get in their mind a little bit. But as soon as Tyreek Hill goes off the field, as soon as one guy goes off the field, this offense looks entirely different. The defense plays us entirely different. You saw when Tyreek's on the field, 3 deep safeties. We've seen that all year long. When Tyreek's off the field, everyone's just packed the line of scrimmage, because as much as I love Waddle, he's not been the deep threat that you kind of hope he would be. And there's nobody else that Tua really trusts to throw the ball to that's in the receiving department. Durham Smythe, that's your best tight end, really. Julian Hill. You have no third gear in the passing game other than a check down to Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert, I mean, look, at least Raheem Mostert is the one consistency that we've seen from this team. He's doing week in, week out exactly what he's been asked to do. He is the one guy from yesterday that I can look at and be like, all right, Raheem, look, good job. 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. Does exactly what he's asked to do within this offense. His running ability, there's some offenses where he wouldn't work. He needs to get to the outside more often than not. He's not going to beat you in between the tackles. Maybe I would like to see a little bit of Jeff Wilson yesterday try to combat some of the physicality. He didn't get a single touch. He was on the field for like a few snaps, just out there running around, putting up some cardio. Let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your frustrations. This is an opportunity to be frustrated because, look, like I started off the video, there's still a very strong chance that we win the division. Winning the number 1 seed, that's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult. We got to beat the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Bills. You love to talk about, as long as you control your own destiny, what more could you ask for? I could ask for us to win the game last night against the Tennessee Titans team that is going nowhere, that had lost 4 out of the last 5 games, looking like they're coming to the end of an era, look like they're moving on from Tannehill, look like they're moving on from Derrick Henry, look like they're moving on from Mike Vrabel. and they were able to put together that performance yesterday like they were fighting to get into the playoffs. Do you guys see that reaction from Will Levis when he took the knee? Oh my God, you think he won the Super Bowl. But that's what that meant to him. It meant that much to him that they were able to overcome adversity. This Dolphins team doesn't overcome adversity. We've been waiting for a go ahead and prove it. Prove it to us that you can strike down some of these haters, strike down some of these negative comments, that you can overcome something other than just being the class offense of the NFL. What are you beyond that? So far, I haven't seen enough. And you got the Jets next week. They looked really good against the Texans. Texans, obviously, without Tank Dell, Nico Collins. And as soon as they lost Nico Collins, that ship fell apart quickly. But, Zach Wilson had a decent game. So it's not the same cupcake that we got on Black Friday playing the Jets next Sunday. They got a blueprint from the Tennessee Titans on how to beat us. Punch us in the mouth. Make Tua uncomfortable. You stop Tyreek, you stop this team. Offensively, the Jets, you're not going to get the same thing you got from the Titans, but there is a way for us to be beaten. Because we still control our destiny. Yippee. All right. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your thoughts at the game. Were you at the game? I was. Fortunately, I was able to bring my girlfriend, and that made things better. It's always easier to suck up a loss when you have a very beautiful girl sitting next to you. So, if you're at the game, let me know your thoughts, or let me know your thoughts in general. Like, comment, you know what to do. Subscribe. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.